But we've all seen the pictures. We've seen those hundreds of people packed into a C-17. We've seen Afghans falling.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
Why you bringing up old shit?
The commitment holds to get everyone out that, in fact, we can get out and everyone should come out. And that's the objective. That's what we're doing now. That's the path we're on, and I think we'll get there.
So Americans should understand that troops might have to be there beyond August 31st.
No, Americans should understand that we're going to try to get it done before August 31st.
But if we don't, the troops will stay.
If we don't, we'll determine at the time who's left.
And?
Littering and?
And if there are American forces, if there's American citizens left, we're going to stay till we get them all out.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do and homelessness and all that. And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
We spent over $1 trillion, George. 20 years. There was no good time to leave.
But if there's no good time, if you know you're going to have to leave eventually, why not have everything in place to make sure Americans to get out, to make sure our Afghan allies get out, so we don't have these chaotic scenes in Kabul?
Number one, as you know, the intelligence community did not say back in June or July that in fact this was going to collapse like it did.
Would this be the same intelligence community that said that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction? I mean, not just the ones that Bush's daddy gave it to him back in the 80s, but that said that he had factories where he was mass producing weapons of mass destruction? Or maybe the same intelligence community that said that we should arm rebels in Syria right before they all defected and joined fucking ISIS? That intelligence community?
But given this, given the negotiations with the Taliban, the scenes that we're seeing, can you just fully explain why the plan wasn't to go ahead with these evacuations of both Americans and allies before the drawdowns began, before Bagram was closed, looking back several months? Because whether it was now or several months from now, there seems to be a broad consensus that the Taliban would make these gains and these would be needed at some point.
Well, yeah, at some point. But the point was that although we were in contact with the Taliban and Doha for this whole period of time, at some point wasn't expected to be the total demise of the Afghan National Force, which was 300 persons. Let's assume the Afghan National Force had continued to fight and they were surrounding Kabul. Be a very different story. Very different story. But the overwhelming consensus was that they were not going to collapse. The Afghan forces, they were not going to leave. They were not going to just abandon and then put down their arms and take off. So that's what happened. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Why do you continue to trust the Taliban?
Why would we just assume that the Afghan National Force is going to fight and not just give up? Why would you make that assumption? Military planning is built on prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Always prepare for the worst, though. But all of a sudden, it didn't seem prudent to be prepared for this to happen? Our original date to get out of there was the beginning of May. There were already plans in place to do that. And then that got pushed back to September 11th. You remember that? That was originally what Biden said was, oh, we'll be out of there by September 11th. And then 2 months go by, and we just leave Bagram Air Base in the middle of the fucking night. Don't even warn the Afghan National Forces that we're leaving. We just go. And as soon as we do, the Taliban strolls in there and takes all of our weapons and shit from there. At that point, we should have realized these assholes are not content to wait. They're gonna fucking take everything over, and at that point, you should have stopped assuming that things would go fucking smoothly. Once they took over that air base, all we had to do was say, okay, fine. Anybody leaves that base, they get a drone strike and a missile shoved right up their ass. Too fucking easy. They would have stopped their advance real quick. But instead, we spent the next month just watching, going, oh, well, they probably won't take over the rest of Afghanistan. And then they took over the rest of Afghanistan using that base as a jump-off point. We said, oh, well, they probably won't, take over Kabul. And then, oh, well, they took over Kabul. Shit. I mean, how do you fuck up that badly? How can anybody believe that the way this has gone down isn't on purpose? I mean, you couldn't possibly be that stupid. People like to quote Hanlon's razor a lot. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. But that's not the brightest thing to do either, because then you give anybody who is acting with malice or is corrupt an out. And they can just go, oh, well, I just didn't know. I'm just so fucking stupid and incompetent that whoopsie, sorry. But now here we are, and we've had to send thousands of extra troops in just to secure the airport in Kabul, and basically everything outside of that airport is behind enemy lines. And we're telling people, oh, don't worry, you can get out as long as you can get to the airport. Only problem is, we can't secure you getting to the airport. We can't help you in any way. So if you happen to be an American that's in, Jalalabad or Kandahar or basically anywhere fucking else in the country of Afghanistan, you're behind enemy lines and your ass is flapping in the breeze. Or what about all those people that were willing to stick their neck out and risk their safety and the safety of their families to be our interpreters or to be intelligence guides? They're fucked. And all because we wanted to assume that the Taliban wasn't going to do this? This is bullshit. We've had months and months to get all of our people and whatever equipment we couldn't blow up in case the Taliban tried to take it over out of the fucking country. We should have had all of our people and all of our interpreters out of there before we pulled our troops out. There's no excuse for why that didn't happen. Them saying, oh, well, we didn't think it would fall this fast. Yeah, okay. There should have been a contingency plan for in case it did. And the fact that you didn't have one makes you the most incompetent motherfuckers on the face of the planet. Unless, of course, you wanted it to go this way. Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. 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 Come on. Come on. now.